Well, from the fire that gutted Parliament to the floods that killed and displaced many people, the high-profile arrests after the handover of the explosive Zondo report, the death of 21 youths at Enyobeni Tavern, the indiscriminate shootings in taverns across the country, and the release of Chris Honey's killer, Janus Walush, in 2022 was an eventful year. We can all agree about that. As if that was not enough, as South Africans prepared to end the year, the fate of the nation's president hung in the balance and sent shockwaves across the world after the Section 89 panel report that raised questions about his integrity. Well, that's our show in Essential tonight. Good evening and welcome to Unfiltered. I'm Onati Bagyashe, standing in for Adrian Sampia. As we begin 2023, uncertainty remains about how political events will develop and whether they will be positive for South Africa in general. Well, some say spirituality is the guardian of society, and a 2019 study, in fact, by the Pew Research Center revealed that South Africa is ranked number 4 among African countries with the most devout believers. So in this episode, we have chosen to engage a different perspective to give us insight into what we can expect in 2023. So tonight we ask, what will be the fortunes of South Africa in 2023? Well, joining me tonight, I'm joined in studio by Benjamin ARDÉ, who is the founder of the ARC South Africa, hashtag Pray for SA and hashtag Pray for the World. We're also joined by Glenn Kirkwood-Eales, president of the National Spiritualist Federation of Gauteng and a psychic medium. Remember, you can join in this conversation by using our Twitter handle at Unfiltered SABC and Facebook Unfiltered SABC. What will be the fortunes of South Africa in 2023? That's our discussion tonight. So let's get into it. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Perhaps let's start with you, Benjamin. I mean, I've just read probably the most negative and somber introduction in terms of essentially what was our 2022. So just talk to us about that year. I mean, it was a heavy year for most South Africans. You know, how do we transition from what 2022 was and hopefully have an impactful 2023? But how would you unpack 2022?
2022 is really what I got actually. I want to just back up a little bit. In 2017, I had a prophecy. And this prophecy was very simply this, and I'm going to actually read it. It just said, I'm doing major shifts in the government, I'm doing major shifts politically, I'm doing major shifts in the financial institution. So the word I got was that there was going to be corruption revealed in the big businesses in South Africa. A month later, that whole big explosion happened with the situation in Europe with the big company, with Christo Visa and Jooste and so forth. So God spoke that word because, you see, I want to say this. God loves the people of South Africa, and He has a plan for the people of South Africa. And then the word I got was, do not be afraid because I'm involved, just keep praying. I will bring from what's the bottom to the top, I will raise up and I will elevate. There is a corruption that is going to be exposed. There is corruption that I'm going to expose and it's going to fall flat. Then people will say, who do we vote for now?
Wow.
Who is our source? Well, I am your source, says God. Many have put their faith in a party. Now, this is the 24th of September, 2017. But I'm raising up in this nation new parties, those who are filled with my spirit. New men that I'm going to raise up. They will say, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Then I said this, not I, but let me say this. I'm a spokesperson. You see, God has His bride. You see, people think prophet is like a psychic. A prophet in a church is not like a psychic. Okay. He doesn't have 10 BMWs and 3 Rolls Royces and 10 Rolex watches. He comes out of the desert and he represents the bride of Christ. And he speaks as a sent one and as a spokesperson first to the church, and then from the church as a spokesperson to the nation, to bring the nation to wholeness.
All right, let me bring in Glenn then. You know, so Glenn, of course, we heard Benjamin is, you know, a prophet, and you are from the National Spiritualist Federation. So talk to me about your faith then, or your practice, and also how you would then unpack 2022 in line of what we just read now in the introduction.
Well, from my perspective, I'm a psychic medium, and I don't have several watches and
sports
cards or things like that. From the spiritualist community, we have been preparing, and in 2022, we've been preparing for what so many people have been speaking about, is the spiritual awakening of people. And it's been a very difficult year that we went through, and it's been a taxing time, it's been a birthing time, and so many people from across the broad spectrum of religions and belief structures have all felt this heaviness and this change that is due. And this process has been arduous, and we've struggled because it is a birthing, and no great things come unless there is this process of birthing. And so the big change is imminent. And 2022 has been a year of this birthing of resistance to change, where we've had so many people try to go back to the old ways of thinking, try to go back to the way things were. But unfortunately, it's not working. And we've had to move forward, and we're being forced to move forward into a newer way, into a better way, and into an enlightened way, and a space filled with love and with light and with God and with all that is positive. And we're only able to take this forward. We aren't able to take what was and the negative. We're letting go of that. And that process is hard, and has been hard for 2022. So from our perspective, from the spiritualist perspective, we're enthusiastic. We're not down, but we are a little tired. It has been a very hard journey up to where we are now. It has been
a very draining year. And I think after the break, gentlemen, what I would like you to do is, you know, to talk to us about what are we likely to see in 2023. Is there some sort of reprieve in the horizon? Are we going to know who our leaders are and what they want? Are we going to be proud of some of the decisions that we make as individuals? So what does 2023 hold and is in store for South Africans? All right, we take a quick break. You are watching Unfiltered with me, Unathi Bhatyashe. We'll be back straight after this. Don't go away. Welcome back. You are watching Unfiltered with me, Unathi Bhatyashe. So tonight we're asking you, what will be the fortunes of South Africa in 2023? My guests tonight are Benjamin ARDÉ, founder of ARC South Africa, and Glenn Kirkwood-Eales. He's a psychic medium. Benjamin, let's start with you. All right, so we've unpacked 2022. Let's now look into 2023, what it holds for us. I want to focus on the health aspect of it. I mean, we have had COVID for the better part of 3 years. What is going to happen from a health perspective in terms of South Africans? Are there any pandemics on the horizon? We see that it's still very much present in China and in the country.
The world is in a global crisis. In fact, I'm going to give you this word again on 24th of September 2017. There shall be a great crisis in the land. It is nigh. It shall be a great crisis, and it shall come. And there will be no place to go. And that's what happened. So what I want to say is this, and I want to go quick because of the time, but the whole world, and then in that word I got, there's going to be a great disruption. And if you look at the Queen, her first speech was a disruption. And the first recording I did in 2020 of March, I said, this is a reset. Before anybody else said reset, I said this is a reset. But you see, there's a spiritual reset we have to embrace. In other words, in the shift and change in the world that we're going into, it's a birthing place, as was said, but it's a birthing place of choice. And tribulation is a place of birthing. Joseph is a prime example of tribulation. Everywhere, if you look according to the Bible, tribulation is what God uses, but tribulation is a place of choice. Are we going to get bitter and better? So yeah, according to, I believe in the health, I say this: we have an opportunity to turn to God as a nation. Just as you indicated, South Africa is a nation that loves God, but it is also a nation that must then, if you love God, you serve God. And if you serve God, then South Africa will be a nation of forgiveness, a nation of love, a nation of kindness, and we all family. You know, I got 4 kids, and every one of those kids are different.
There will be no pandemics. Can we say COVID-19 we've seen the end of it?
I say that there will always be things we have to deal with. So, but for us, it's about that we have the power to change the frequency of what's going on in the world through our attitude and our spirit, because with fear and negativity and unbelief and panic, we empower those viruses.
Glenn, let me bring you in. You know, we have, of course, as South Africans, seen so much death and destruction in 2022. So we obviously are asking that question as we go into 2023. What can we expect, particularly in that space? We've seen so many killings. The crime stats are high. We've also seen this, you know, these incidences of mass shootings across the country with gang-related crimes also in the Western Cape. Talk to us about, from a crime element, as a psychic medium, what are your predictions for 2023?
Truly, crime and violence and illness and things like that are part of our journey and part of our learning experience. We're here to experience growth. South Africa as a whole, we've got to a point where it's a breaking point, and 2023 is really and truly a period of huge change. Our guides and our angels and our all those spiritual mediums that have come through, all speaking of big changes to happen in 2023. We speak of spiritual growth, yes, but we also speak of serious change, where things like power, things like communication, things like telecommunication, things like just the communication between families and relationships that we have are all breaking down. And there's a reason for this, because we've got to get back down to basics. And Spirit keeps saying we need to stop being reliant. And the one thing South Africa is we are the strongest believers in a positive hope. And that's going to be our one strength that's going to pull us right through.
So are all these things happening then, including load shedding, this one big test? I mean, we know that, of course, this is something that's going to be with us for some time, even post-2023. But what are you seeing on that front, from the economic front? You know, unemployment at an all-time high as well.
Unfortunately, at present, it is not going to immediately get better. Unfortunately, there has to be huge changes in all of us, not just the guys in power and the ladies in power. It's all to do with a big change within us. Rightfully so. Turning to God, turning to what you believe, turning to inward, and in that inward finding our power. In finding our power, we will find the power exterior. We will find that strength. Yes, we sit with load shedding, we sit with political strife, and it is Spirit's biggest aim at this point is for us to rely on ourselves and on our God, so that we can get to the next point.
And I'm hearing a lot of that, Benjamin, you know, where you're talking about that internal, you know, reflection. Also being mindful, of course, if you're religious, of who you are serving, whether it's God or Allah, whatever. So talk to us then about how important it is to ensure that, you know, because we know that there are prophets that are posing to be prophets, but they're actually not. So in this time of vulnerability, because that's also the sense I'm getting, you know, what should, you know, ordinary South Africans be mindful of as they learn to deal with just some of these problems that we're experiencing today?
I think every South African is actually really good, and they want to make a difference in this nation. But they are discouraged and disheartened. And it's like my cousin was in the hospital in Durban the other day. I'm going to go very quickly, but He said he was so amazed in the government hospital. He says one guy lost his eye, one guy lost his hand, one guy lost his leg, and everybody was making jokes. Everybody was happy. And he said he was so amazed with the attitude of the South Africans. But I want to say this, I got to say this because it's important. 2018, I had a vision. I was woken up at 3 in the morning, and I saw an outbreak of violence in South Africa and many people killed. And then the Lord said to me, pray against this, because what happened in Rwanda wants to happen in South Africa. I'm going to say this. South Africa is the microcosm of the macrocosm. It's a very strategic nation. And we are under tremendous attack. And all of us together have to stand together and break the chains, not through bitterness or politics, but by our attitude and by turning to God. Now, in that, I was sitting there and I woke up. I said, what do I do? What do I do? And I saw clear with my eyes open. I saw pray for SA, hashtag pray for SA, and I got it. And I know you're going to go there, but
I'm still getting a lot of sense that, you know, from a political vantage point, in terms of the leadership vacuum that we are experiencing, from the violence that we are seeing in this country, we're still going to be experiencing it. And I'm getting the sense that you're asking South Africans to dig deep within themselves to solve some of these problems. But let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue on this topic, asking what the fortunes hold for South Africa in 2023. Stay with us.
Yeah.
What will be the fortunes of South Africa in 2023? That's our question tonight. I'm joined again, of course, by our guest, Benjamin ARDÉ, founder of ARC South Africa, and Glenn Kirkwood-Eels, a psychic medium. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you a very specific question now. Politics. It is entrenched in our country at the moment, and everybody is worried about this leadership vacuum. What, from a political vantage point, is going to be happening? Glenn, let me start with you.
To start off, what Spirit has revealed to us is that there is going to be big changes, and it's starting to erupt in the hierarchy structures, and there has to be big changes. We've become tired and we've become too complacent, and then big changes are due.
Big changes within the ANC?
Within the ANC, internal, there is going to be changes. We're looking at June and July, big things to happen. There's a lot of ill health with certain of the members. We are aware of some of them, but we are also not aware of some of them. And all of that is of play. Unfortunately, we do feel that it's a bit of a grab, everybody trying to grab left, right, and center, trying to take power. And it's not about power. It's about the people. It's about us. It's about all of us together.
So something great is going to be happening within the ANC. Some political leaders are going to be gravely ill in July, around about that time. Benjamin, your sentiments around the politics of South Africa?
Well, I believe like I already shared there's a lot of changes coming in new political parties. That was spoken in 2017. We're seeing the effects of it. It's already happening. So a lot of changes, a lot of shifts all over the world, really. But for me, again, like I say, the biggest concern I have right now is that we come together as a nation. And as a nation, we seek God, because when we do this, we are going to see change in this nation. If not, that is my warning, and I say it as a prophet, and I represent the church. And I say, if we do this, there will be a turnaround. If not, God will look after his people, because the people of faith. You understand? Because you know that already in 2018, I had a word, the lights are going out. It was 2017. I must actually get all the words. I've got so many. But 2017, because sometimes it comes on me and then I just speak.
Out, which is load
the
shedding.
lights are going out.
And you're saying we're going to see a new political party that by 2024?
Many new political parties will begin to come. So they will begin to manifest. So they're already happening. I don't say that the ANC has not got a role. I believe that there are many wonderful people in all the different political parties. And so for me, I love everybody, and I've got friends all over. You understand? And so I think that the end of the day is that we just need the leaders of our country to take a stand for the good of our, in God, for our country, because I believe that's the solution. Politics is going to be politics. It's always going to carry on. But at the end of the day, it's when the heart of the people change. Because when I talk today, I talk to South Africa. I say, otherwise, we're going to carry on and carry on. But ultimately, what needs to change, because this nation is designated to be a blessing to many nations of the world. And this is why there's a massive shaking going on in this nation. And the people feel it. And I tell you something, there's going to be good coming out of this nation. That's what I believe.
Glenn, a lot of people also talking money, money, money in 2023. Is it going to, are people going to be enriched in 2023? Because if you look at the unemployment rate at this country, a lot of people are, am I going to get a job? What do you see? I
do see that there is great financial and physical growth within this country. It is growing. It's not growing as quick as we want it to be, but it is growing. And that is hope. And I see that this is going to happen because we are focusing on ourselves, enriching ourselves, not just in a monetary level, but on a soul level as well.
You know, Benjamin spoke about, you know, people taking power, you know, and control back into their lives. You know, in terms of the Zondo report that we talked about, do you see any arrests happening in 2023? Any successful, you know, persecutions in that front?
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, it is not going to be the ones we hope it to be. It is going to be the little guys taking the fall for the big guys once again, which is sad, but unfortunately, it's a start.
So you don't see any big major arrests within, you know, what the NPA has in front of it?
The little guys take the fall for the big guys. Unfortunately, that still prevails.
And you, Benjamin, on that front, in terms of what do you see about accountability? I mean, we've just come out of 4 years of the Zondo Commission. Do you see anything in that space in terms of leaders that have been wronged and fingered in some of the corruption? Do you see them?
I think there's an undercurrent and agenda of division. And that is at work through many different, it's the evil forces, let me put it that way. And either we're going to succumb to it and be divided, or we're going to be united. So these issues that we see facing with Zondo and all these different issues are ultimately to turn us against one another. And we have to reject it. We have to find commonality, we have to work together, and we have to reject all the evil. And that's what's going to turn it around, because evil will be evil, and meaning that it will continue if you allow it to. And we are the resistance. We are the people that can make the change. You know, South Africa's had 30 years with the previous government, 30 years with the new government, but we have a chance to reset ourselves as a nation, to become a people of hope for Africa and the nations of the world, because the most beautiful and intelligent people are here. So yes, I say with all the different commissions that are going on, they're going to continue to go on, because that's what happens in that arena. But it's when we reject that evil voice, we will close the taps, and then wealth will flow. Because can I tell you what I believe? There's a lot of wealth leaving our country. I saw this, a tremendous amount of wealth. And this wealth must come back to our country, and it must be managed in our country. And it must be managed by us as South Africans.
Okay, a lot of very positive. All right, we're wrapping up the show. Glenn, let me give you the final word. In light of what we are seeing and what we've just heard today, I mean, you are really talking about a change that is coming. I know we're talking 2023, but are we going to have a new leader in 2024?
Yes, we are going to have a new leader, somebody who is going to represent this nation in a positive light. It is a aspect where this person is going to lead us, and I'm going to say this as a mother would lead us. that is what it's going to be
Does that signal a woman is finally going to lead this country? Well, very interesting conversations. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this evening. Really do appreciate it. Well, there you have it. Predictions about 2023 and just looking and reflecting back on the country in 2022 and some of the hardships that are going to continue as we know it. So say our guest, Benjamin ARDÉ, founder of the ARC South Africa, and Glenn Kirkwood Eels, a psychic medium, joining me this evening. Well, this has been a great discussion. You were watching Unfiltered with me, Unathi Bagyashe. Until next time, thank you.